Hello everybody, in today's video I'm talking about some of the unexpected roles that your local real estate agent might have and you don't even know about. And I'm going to go into 3 stories today from my own personal archives, although I have many more. If you would think something like this is interesting, please put it in the comment below and I could make more videos by this, but I'm going to do some of the top 3 unexpected roles that your local real estate agent may have that you never expected. My name is Dawn Dickinson and I am a realtor in Northern Arizona. If you ever have a question about buying or selling a house in Arizona, please feel free to contact me. Give me a call or a text or an email and I will get back to you. My contact information is always in the description below. So before I get into the stories, I'm going to share with you some of the roles your local realtor may have that you might not be expecting. You might think your real estate agent is just a person who comes and puts a for sale sign out in front of your house, takes some pictures, drives customers around and show them into property, or even writes up contracts and then collects a big paycheck. But there's way more to our profession than that. Often we have to be proficient as a therapist, a counselor, an Uber driver, mediator, project manager, marriage counselor, interior decorator, videographer, dog catcher, and all sorts of other things that you might not be expecting. So as these scenarios begin to develop and as they're folding out, they're usually quite annoying, but over time we tell the stories and they are actually quite comical. So I'm going to give you 3 stories of my own personal experience. So there was a time, possibly around 2023. Now, I sell primarily in Northern Arizona, and quite the contrary, most people think Northern Arizona, you're going to have a cheap price tag on homes, but that is almost the opposite. People coming from Phoenix are surprised when they are having a budget that will buy them a decent house in Phoenix, and they come up here to Northern Arizona and prices are way more than they expect. So I had a family coming up for the weekend and they wanted to see houses because they were thinking of moving from somewhere in Phoenix to Northern Arizona and wanted to see some homes. That weekend I was a little upset because my family was in town for the weekend and I have to drop everything to show homes, 6 or 7 homes, which means that's the entire day for me. And so my family goes off to the Grand Canyon where I was supposed to go with them and have a nice family vacation, but no, the kids are now going with their dad and they got the fun dad and the mom who is a stick in the mud because she's always working. That's how the weekend was unfolding. So I show up to meet these people and the first thing they say is, "Oh, our tour guide is here." Well, my gosh, never say that to your local real estate agent because that immediately puts you on a sour note. So we are looking at some homes and the first home we pull up with, they actually have their dog with them, a big old hairy dog, probably a 70-pound sheepdog. And I love dogs. I love dogs. I have 3 dogs, but I cannot bring somebody's dog into somebody's home. How would you like it if your house has got a cat in it or you're allergic to dogs, or it doesn't matter. Do you, if you're living in a house, want somebody bringing their dog into your house? So I have to tell them, no, you can't bring the dog inside. You can stand outside, take turns going inside, but no, I can't bring your dog into a house, especially one that's occupied, people living there. So again, we got now 2 strikes against us. First is the tour guide comment. Second is bringing the dog and expecting me to allow you to bring it into the house. No dogs can go into a house. Sometimes a vacant house, if it's been vacant for a while, if the dog is on a leash, but for the most part, no dogs. Don't bring your dog into the house. So anyhow, we're looking at 4, 5, 6 homes and they're like total sticker shocks. Like, this is a dump, this needs work, this needs carpet. And it's like, did I not explain all this to you before you came up? But okay. So day 2, now I would really like to spend the day with my family because they're only up for the weekend and my family only comes up to visit me like once a every 4 months. So this is a rare opportunity to see my adult kids, and I'm showing houses. And if you're thinking of buying a house and you're serious about it, I don't mind that because that's what comes with the job. But if I'm going to be tour guide, no, I don't really want to do that. So the second day, they're like, I really want to see this house in Flagstaff. I really want to. And I'm like, no, I have plans Sunday morning, but if you'd like, I could show it to you around 2 o'clock. And they're like, well, 2 o'clock's kind of late. We really wanted to do it in the morning. And I'm like, okay, this just happened to be a house I had already showed to a person, and I had a whole video of the house. And I'm like, all right, I'll take this video and I'll upload it to YouTube. I will send you a private video link, and if you've watched the thing and then you really like this house, I will show it to you. So I spent the rest of the evening where my kids are having fun with their dad and taking walks around Sedona. I'm uploading videos, formatting it, sending them the private link for them to view. So maybe I would take them to see the house in Flagstaff after my family had left, because again, I only have 1 day with them now, and I do all that. I send them a link, and the next day they haven't even watched the video, right? So how serious are you on seeing this house if you haven't even looked at the video I sent? So the next morning they send me a text, can we see the house in Flagstaff? And I'm like, have you seen the video? And then I don't hear from them again. They ended up going home, but they kind of ghosted me after that. And so I'm glad I didn't drop all my second day plans with my family to go to Flagstaff and show them a house, because if they weren't interested enough to even look at the video link, I'm sure they were not interested enough to buy the property. Rule number 2, police enforcement. So back in 2018, I had a listing that actually was my ex-husband's house, and it was a beautiful house in an upscale neighborhood in Phoenix, about a 3,000 square foot house, and it was listed for about $500,000, but today it would probably go for about $900,000. So I had this very nice house listed, and it was vacant. So my son, now I have an adult son with autism, but he is high functioning, had been visiting me, and he decided to go check out the house just to make sure everything was okay after his visit. And then about 20 minutes later, I get a call, Mom, there's somebody in this house. There's this crazy lady in the house, and her face is purple. You better get over here. And I'm like thinking, oh, I'm now worried, like, oh my gosh, is my son hallucinating or something? But I get over there and I find out that there has been a homeless woman that has been breaking into the house and spending the night in there. So the neighbors confirmed this, and I'm like, okay, if you see anything, definitely let me know. The police came and kicked her out. Now, every night now for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm getting a call from the neighbors. I'm having to call the police. The police throw out the homeless woman, and then the very next day she's back, and we are going through this police enforcement scenario, getting a squatter out of a very expensive listing in Phoenix. And I didn't realize that I had to be, deputized police officer to be a real estate agent, but apparently I did. Now, after about 3 or 4 weeks, eventually the homeowner, which would be my ex-husband, went in and put a bunch of extra locks on every single door, bolted up the fences and gates so they couldn't even get into the backyard and go swimming in the pool. And we did eventually get rid of the homeless person that was breaking into the house, and the house sold. And that actually was quite a nightmare of a listing, and it did have a happy ending, but there was a lot more involved with selling that house and a bigger role as a police enforcement than I ever expected a realtor would need to do. Now, my last scenario number 3, is pest control officer. So there was another time not too long ago where I had sold a beautiful house in West Sedona, probably about $1.1 million, and it was in a great neighborhood, and the owners were out of state. And so typically now, when the real estate agent is done with your transaction and you record and you get the keys, they are done with the project. But occasionally I'll have out-of-state owners, and I will help them with a few things, like if they have a package delivered, I may go by and put it inside the house or that sort of thing. But in this particular case, the owners were going to rent the property, and they had hired a property manager to manage the house, and I had agreed to meet the property managers at the home and just show them around, give them their own copy of the key so that they could take over, and now this is their project and I am done. So I'm meeting the property managers there. There were 3 of them. We show up at the doorstep, and I unlock the door and I open it, and immediately it's like what is that smell? Something is bad. And we walk into the house and there is a dead squirrel in the middle of the beautiful wood floor in the center that looks out over the red rocks of Sedona, and it had stank. So it was probably there for about 4 days, this dead squirrel carcass. And we're like, what do we do? And we walk inside, and it's hard to give the tour because the entire house stinks so bad. I wouldn't think a small rodent carcass this big could smell up a 2,200 square foot house, but it certainly did. So the property managers are like, well, call pest control. So they were going to let this disgusting squirrel carcass just sit and rot for like 2 days while pest control comes out to remove the squirrel body. And I'm like, we can't do that. It always stinks enough. It's full of maggots. All those maggots are going to hatch, and now they're going to be flies infesting this entire place. And they're like, well, that's not in our job description. And I'm like, all right, this is crazy. Now, the house is totally vacant. There's no linens. There's no pots that I could scrape it into. There's nothing for me to find a way to remove the squirrel carcass. So I go to the bathroom, and thankfully there's toilet paper. A lot of times people move out, they take all the toilet paper, and you can't even get a handful of toilet paper. But I pull out like a big wad of toilet paper, and in the meantime, these 3 property managers are just standing around kind of watching like they're being entertained. But I can't leave this maggot-infested squirrel carcass in the middle of this beautiful home and to stink it up even further. So I go, and I've got all these things of toilet paper, and I kind of like get its little squirrely body in there, and I'm like walking, like holding it ahead of me like this, and maggots are dropping off into the floor, and I'm like trying to get out as fast as I can. I open the sliding glass door, I run out in the backyard, and I toss the carcass into the wash where some coyote or bobcat will probably have it within about 2 hours. So, and then I go back, and there's all these maggots now that have dropped all over the floor, and I'm going around with the toilet paper, picking up the maggots and throwing them in the toilet and flushing it down. And the property managers are just standing there. They're not offering to help. They're not like, oh, I'll get a maggot for you. No, they're just standing there watching the whole thing. And then in the meantime, I go and open all the windows because the whole house stinks so bad. Do they offer to go close the windows? No, so again, I'm on my own, even though I am done with this transaction, but I can't possibly let this beautiful home I just sold stink up, and you would think the property managers might want to get this house cleared because they're trying to rent it now. So you go to rent it and there's a bad smell, you're not going to rent it right away. But property managers are a different breed of real estate professionals. So I open all the doors, I get the place cleared out. In about 3 days, I go back to test the windows. The place still stinks. Not as bad as it did, but it still stinks. And after about a week, I go back and close all the windows, and we are done with this project. And they did find a renter, and it seems to be working out okay. But I did not know that pest control officer was a job of a real estate agent, but sometimes it is. So that's it. That's my stories of today. If you found any of this interesting, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up. I am a licensed realtor in the state of Arizona, so if you ever have a question about buying or selling real estate, give me a call, text, email. My contact information is always in the description below. And the channel Living in Northern Arizona talks about real estate topics, especially as they relate to living in the Northern Arizona town. So if you like this kind of content, please give me subscribe to the channel so you can find this every single week. I post videos every Sunday, so I hope to see you back here on the channel again next week.